farklı.
So we begin this news hour in Turkey, where campaigning for Sunday's presidential runoff has just ended. Voters will be choosing between President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and opposition leader Kemal Kilicdaroglu. So let's take a look at some of the main issues that have been arising in this closely fought race. President Erdogan has promised to build 650,000 new houses in earthquake-hit areas. Survivors have also been promised a 20-year loan with low interest rates, while Kilicdaroglu says he will provide those houses for free. Erdogan says he'll lower inflation to 10% by next year, whilst continuing to reduce interest rates. Kilicdaroglu promises to return to traditional economic policies to combat soaring prices. He also says he'll work to increase social housing, whilst the government wants to limit rental increases. And if elected, the opposition leader says he'll send back all Syrian and Afghan refugees within 2 years. Erdogan says he'll return around 1 million Syrian refugees. On foreign policy, the Turkish leader says he will maintain what he calls his government impartial policies, while Kilicdaroglu wants to improve ties with the West. Well, the two candidates have just ended their final rallies.
Türkiye yüzyılı.
This is Turkey's century. We want to make this year's centennial a beginning for a stronger nation based on the solid foundations we have been building for our nation for the past 21 years.
I will solve your problems. What's the point of being involved in politics if I can't ease your problems? If a child is going to bed with an empty stomach, why am I involved in politics? Politics is to make society happier.
Let's go straight over now to Sami Zeydan, who's heading our special election coverage from Istanbul. And Sami, over to you.
Thanks so much, Laura. You know, we are just hours away from witnessing history being made here, where for the first time, Turkey will be heading into a second round of a presidential vote. Well, the backdrop to this is something of a hardening of the nationalistic rhetoric being used by both sides to appeal to those nationalist voters, but also something of a U-turn, particularly by the opposition, from that inclusive kind of message they were putting out before the first round to a much more nationalistic, hard line in their messaging now. And to underscore some of those issues which Laura was mentioning there about the economy, we saw the lira sink to a record low against the dollar. And earlier this week, we saw the central bank reserves dip into negative territory, underscoring the economic concerns on the minds of many. Well, we have two correspondents covering this story. Hashim Ahrabara is in Ankara at the headquarters of CHP, the opposition party. Well, we start first with Rasul Sardar. He's at Ankara as well, at the headquarters of the ARK party. And Rasul, we've been hearing from Recep Tayyip Erdogan today, the president, striking a very confident tone, vowing victory, even hoping for a landslide, right?
That's correct, Sami. So his second round presidential election campaign was not that much different from the one that he has run in the first round of the election. So he's still promising a more powerful Turkey, a prosperous country, a more assertive country in the international arena. And he's promising his supporters, if he's re-elected, the next century is going to be the century of Turkey. And he's focusing on mega projects and also enhancing the defense industry. So this rhetoric, Sami, very well resonates with his supporters because they have a dream of a greater Turkey because of the culture, because of the history there. And Erdogan definitely is building up on these sentiments among the nation. On the other hand, one of the main issues has been the Syrian refugees in the country. So the opposition, we have seen that they have been focusing their campaign on anti-refugee sentiments, but Erdogan was much more nuanced. He even in an interview, he said that sending back the refugees without preparing the conditions, without providing the safety, it will be a cruelty. So he is also promising to send them back, but by preparing the conditions and creating a safe environment for that. And also he said that the return must be with dignity based on people being voluntarily going back. So we can see that he's trying to draw a picture of a responsible leader instead of harshly focusing on the nationalistic sentiments in the country.
And Rasul, how much of a focus, if not concern, is there on the key issue of turn?
Well, Sami, he has been constantly warning his supporters that they should not have an illusion of an early victory. Despite leading in the first round by 49% of the votes, he is still saying that the competition, the race is not over, and his supporters should be coming to the ballot boxes and also cast their votes. Because one of the key issues that is going to determine the outcome of this election is the high turnout. And the concern from Erdogan is that if he cannot mobilize his supporters as he did in the first round, then they could face a surprise. And also the second factor is that, Sami, for the first time in this country, the nation is facing a second round and runoff. And we do not know, it's not clear what's going to be the reaction of the voters, as it has never been tested before. That's why Erdogan is quite hopeful for tomorrow's election. However, on the other hand, we can say he is very much concerned as well.
All right, good stuff there from Rasul Sardar. We're going to stay in Ankara, though, and head over now to Hashim Ahrabarra. He's at the headquarters of the ruling ARK party. And Hashim, I don't know how windy it is where you are, underscoring the volatility of the moment, but talking about volatile politics, complaints today from the opposition about their messaging being interfered with. Tell us about that.
Indeed, Sami, this explains why the leader of the CHP, Kemal Kilicdaroglu, and the main candidate in the presidential election, has been repeatedly saying that the communications watchdog in Turkey has been preventing him or blocking his text messages to his own people, to the supporters, saying that this is a planned attempt with recommendations from the government to prevent him from getting in touch with his own supporters. The reason why he's been very critical, because the first round was a tight race, and because the runoff is something new in Turkey, some sort of uncharted territory, and he wanted to maintain the momentum for his own supporters, similar to the same momentum during the first round of the elections. Mansour Yavaş, one of the key members of the CHP, the mayor of Ankara, had a rally earlier today, and the message that they have been striking time and again is basically this is a unique opportunity for the Turkish people to stand together and to vote for Kemal Kilicdaroglu, promising a new vision for Turkey, a vision about more democracy, more freedoms, and a reset of Turkey's traditional foreign policy. Sami?
And Hashim, one of the things it seems the opposition is counting heavily on is trying to appeal to the nationalist camp, right?
Indeed, because when you do simple math, Sami, the President Recep Tayyip Erdogan led with 2.5 million votes 2.2 million votes during the first round. And the surprise during the first round of the election was the spectacular gains made by the ultra-nationalists, particularly Sinan Oğan, who got 5+1% of the vote, which is equivalent to 2.8 million votes. The only chance for Kemal Kilicdaroglu to win the election is to get all the votes of the ultra-nationalists. Unfortunately for him, Sinan Oğan decided to endorse Recep Tayyip Erdogan, which means that he has to expand the support base, reach out to all the ultra-nationalists, convince them to vote for the opposition and for Kemal Kilicdaroglu. The only problem here, Sami, is that he has to strike carefully a note here, because he wants to maintain support of the Kurds and he wants to expand the support of the ultra-nationalists. And I think this is going to be the most delicate challenge facing him in the upcoming hours.
All right, thanks so much, Hashim Ahrabarra there from Ankara.